both sides of the conversation family. We welcome you to this virtual space crafted especially for you. My name is Jada Curry, and I'm both sides of the conversation's marketing director and graphics design specialist. I want to take some time to ground us all as a community into this space we are about to open up in, so let's go through our community standards. Both sides of the conversation is providing a safe and honest space for open conversation, so we ask that you all be respectful of that. We also ask that you be respectful of each panelist, host, and participant. We do encourage healthy debates and conversations. Don't personalize anything with anyone. This includes name-calling, bullying, trolling, or shaming. This will not be allowed or tolerated. Your perspective is yours. It is not a prescription. You do not have to agree, but show respect. These community standards apply to all of our live shows and any virtual spaces that we hold on social media, including YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. We want to make sure that we are caring for each other as a community. This is our priority in all of our endeavors as both sides of the conversation. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed today's show and continue to stay in touch with us via YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or all of them. All right, thank you for listening and see you soon.
Welcome everybody to both sides of the conversation. I'm John Henry, Executive Director. Today is Tuesday, so you know what that means. We're going to have another Hidden Gem segment where we will continue to highlight our Black and Brown businesses, as well as our community leaders and folks that are doing positive things to impact our community. Before I get started, it was a sad Sunday. Our 49ers lost in a championship game, but what a great season those guys did to bring joy to the city. So we are happy for our 49ers. They did a great run this year. A lot of people counted them out, doubted them, but we fought to the end, to the championship game. We didn't make it to the Super Bowl, but shout out to all of the Niner fans, the Niner Empire, the Niner gang. We had a great time. Next season, we'll be ready for the next season. So just wanted to give that shout out to community. Also, there's a number of events that's going to be taking place for the Black History Month, and we'll be getting that information out to community, as well as we'll be highlighting some historic Black figures on this platform throughout the month and beyond. We're going to continue to highlight our Black and Brown folk that have been impacting us from the future and from the past, because I think we also need to acknowledge some of the brilliant and excellent leaders and community organizers and folks that we have in the community that's doing amazing things to impact our community. We want to always highlight them as well. So we are excited about that. Looking forward to getting all that information out to community. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and jump into our community announcements. And if you have anyone out there that you believe should be highlighted, a Black-owned business or one of our community leaders and organization, please nominate them, send them to our both sides of the conversation so we can get them on here to announce what they're doing to impact our community as well as their businesses, so we can patronize those businesses and bring that economical power to our community businesses. So excited about that. But for some of the news that's been going on, I know some of the folks have been seeing there's been a midweek winter storm that have been wrecking through the Midwest and the East Coast. And, it's been hitting hard. We've been having our little storms here and there, but about 35 million folks have been impacted as this storm has been reaching from Texas all the way through Michigan and to the Northeast. So to all of our folks out there, be safe, check on your loved ones, make sure they're good, as this storm has just been dropping snow in places all over the United States. And people are feeling it and they need support. So make sure you check on your loved ones that's being impacted by that storm. Also, one of the headline stories that's been going out, I know y'all been seeing it out there. 50-year-old Florida man was smashing the windows of some Black teens in a new car, and then he followed them, and he's facing some hate crimes. I mean, this stuff is still happening. It took place in Florida. Again, we still have work to do in our community. We can't just march for George Floyd, and we can't just march for equity and social justice. We are still dealing with radical racists in our country. that are still impacting our community. We must protect our Black women as well as our young folks and our elders of our community as we continue to deal with these issues. We're going to continue to do our part here to support in that movement. But folks, be vigilant. We still have folks out here that's doing some nutty crimes that's impacting our community. And, we just want to make sure that community know, be safe out there. Also, community announcements coming up. The Hoops Talk virtual author event is taking place on Monday, January 31st. And I don't know what's going on my production sheet because we in the first. I don't know what happened. This is an old event. That was yesterday. So I got to skip on to the next event. The EOC and both sides of the conversation Feed the Hood event is taking place on February 12th. We're going to be out there from 9 to 12 p.m. It's going to be at 7800 MacArthur Boulevard. For all you that don't know, we still need volunteers and folks to sign up. We've been posting on all our social media handles, the links, how to get connected. This is a very, very important event as we continue to try to impact our unhoused brothers and sisters. Y'all know here in the Bay Area and across this country, our folks are being impacted with housing, food security issues, and a number of needs that our community folks need. So this event is very important. Thanks to all the people who's been volunteering, donating. We still need stuff because our folks are being impacted. But I'm looking forward to this event. We'll be out there and we'll be impacting our unhoused brothers and sisters, making sure they have the kits that they need, the food, and we'll be out there making this happen. So looking forward to seeing community out there as well. Also, our Both Sides of the Conversation in East Oakland event is taking place. Both Sides of the Bay Family Bowling Day is happening February 19th from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. This is a free event to community, but you must register. And I know those registration numbers are climbing for whatever reason. I know our folks like to wait to the last minute, but please register for this event. We are going to be out there. It's going to be a fun event with a number of community folks, a number of our community partners. That's going to be out there. The Baby Y, Mo Magic, Collective Impact, SF Rebels, Brown Bombers, a number of community folks that's coming together that want to see our young folks network with other young folks and just community families coming together to have a day that we could just enjoy, no cost to the family, come out, celebrate. I noticed COVID has had us all in the house, and we want to make sure our young folks get out and have a good time. So what a way to go. Both Sides of the Conversation and East Oakland Collective for coming together, making sure that these events continue to happen to impact our community. Also, save the date this Thursday, February the 3rd. The African American Heritage Nights is happening at the Warrior Stadium. It's going to be a great game, the Warriors versus the Kings at the Chase Center. We know this is a new stadium just opened up. Know a lot of our community folks haven't been able to go out and check out the new stadium. But for African American Heritage Night, they'll have tickets from the range $65 to $70 for folks to come out, check out the stadium. If you would like to go out, please reach out to us at events@bsotc.org. And we'll get you all the connected links and information you need to get your tickets to get out and support the Black Heritage Night that the Warriors are putting up against the Kings. The Black Arts Society History Month celebration is going to be taking place from the 1st through the 28th. It's going to be at 461 9th Street in Oakland, California. Please get out there, check out some of the stuff that they're going to be doing throughout this month. Some great stuff, and we're going to try to catch one of those days as well. Also, we got the Brother Rodney, he got his theater, I Can Sing, is coming up. We'll be getting that information as well as coming up for the theaters for them. Also, a new STEM hub for our children and youth community resource center is hitting the block of 5813 Mission Street. This is a Black-led women organization. The Nova Lab is going to be holding this grand opening on February the 12th. So hope you all could get out and check that out as well. The District 711 Joint Talent OMI Artist Day is happening January 30th. I don't know why these old dates are on my sheet, but please reach out. I know this exhibit is going on. Reach out to Brother Maurice Rivers as we're continuing to just go through these events and impact the young folks and the folks of our community. Both sides of the conversation announcements. Again, we are still pushing our online Smile for Amazon. If you would like to support us and choose us as one of your charitable organizations, every time you shop on Amazon, no extra charge to you. But if you choose us as one of your charitable organizations, every time you purchase something, Amazon will match and donate and support the work that we're doing here at Both Sides of the Conversation. Also, Our Giving Tuesday is still going through February to the end of this month. If you community partners or any folks would like to support both sides of the conversation and the work that we're doing, we would greatly appreciate it. All of those informations are out on the links on our social media handles. Please connect to our website and you can find out more. And today, our phenomenal newsletter went out as we are continuing to push out 2 newsletters a month. Great information on there, a lot of community resources. If you haven't signed up for our newsletter and you want to know what's going on with both sides of the conversation, what's going on in the community, where some of the resources are, please check out our newsletter because that's where all the information is there on our website. So please sign up today. Also, our next live show is this Thursday. We're going to have a phenomenal sister come on and talk about the road to financial independence. As we have promised community on this platform for the new year, we are going to continue to focus on Black and Brown health as well as Black and Brown wealth. And this sister is going to come on here and talk about the road to financial independence. So we are excited about that. We have a number of other events that's coming up. We're going to continue our Ask Your Black Doctor series. I want to give a huge shout out to Dr. Mo and Dr. Kim Rose, who came on this Sunday for an amazing show. A lot of folks reached out to me and was telling me how great the information was. We're going to have another segment coming up soon for Ask Your Black Doctor. We're going to try to pull it off for this Sunday as well as we're going through this Black History Month. We want to make sure all of our health questions are being answered. And way to go, Rafiki, for making sure that we get the right doctors and professional folks to come on to help facilitate those conversations as we go through this COVID process. And also tomorrow they will be doing COVID vaccination and testing at the Mendel Plaza in San Francisco on 3rd Street. They'll be out there from about 9 to 2, I believe. I was on a call with them today. So please reach out to the Moja family. They'll be out there at Mendel Plaza if you're looking for a place to get tested or vaccinated. And also there's some opportunities for some test kits from community organizations, and we'll be getting that information out to community where you could go and get some test kits. All right, with that being said, I'm going to close my mouth now. Y'all have heard enough of me, enough announcement. We're going to jump into tonight's Hidden Gem segment. We have one Hidden Gem tonight. Phenomenal sister coming in from the East Coast. Okay, for all y'all that talk about both sides of the conversation, we just in San Francisco. We are bringing on another guest from the East Coast, Midwest. Y'all know we've been bringing folks on from Kansas, Chicago. We keep connecting with our folks, and we find out how we can partner and work and support them as well. And we're going to continue to do that. This sister has a phenomenal story and amazing organization that is doing work to impact our folks. Y'all know me. I'm all about reentry. I'm all about a second chance, making sure our folks that come home get the right tools, the right resources so they can connect and stay in the community. And this sister here is doing some of that amazing work as well. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and introduce tonight our special Hidden Gem, Tia Ryans. Come on up and talk to the both sides of the conversation family. Let them know who you are and what you're doing, Queen. You got to unmute yourself first.
All right, I'm definitely unmuted now. Hi, everyone. My name is Tia Ryans, and I am the founding executive director of Forcing Out Recidivism Through Education. And as I was telling our wonderful MC over there, we don't actually say the mouthful. We call it Fort House. And we are based in Newark, New Jersey. We provide transitional housing for formerly incarcerated students pursuing post-secondary education. And then I'm also the chapter leader of All of Us Are None, Northern New Jersey. And I know you guys have heard about this organization. We are in so many different states, but we fight for the civil and human rights of those that are formerly and currently incarcerated, as well as their family members throughout the country. So it's not just in Jersey. And yeah, I got a lot going on, so I'm ready for questions.
Well, I'm definitely going to jump in there because now that you said it, I believe another brother came on who talked about that all of us are none. All of us are none. Yeah, and I connected them with our Time Done folks in California doing some of that same work. Very, very important stuff. I mean, when you're talking about reentry work, this is very passionate work. It takes a special person. And, we're excited to know that you're a part of this and you're doing this because a lot of times, when we talk about reentry, a lot of the organizations are folks that are advocating for our people that are locked up, haven't experienced that. So, when you have people who've been through it, understand what's going on, and actually can make a change and impact those folks, very tremendous stuff that's done being done. But yeah, while you here, talk a little bit about this work, why you got into it, and your passion behind it, and some of the things that community folks might not see with this work. Because a lot of times, when our folks get locked up or they get removed from the community, we just think that, hey, this is it. But talk about some of the work that is being done inside the wall, and then the work that you all are doing when folks are transitioning, coming back to the community. Because sometimes I think our community forget about that transition period. We welcome people back home, but we don't understand those challenges. And we've had a couple of folks come on here and talk about when they came home, just the adjustment period, to use a cell phone and to use a bank card and to be able to do some of the day-to-day things that we take for granted, that they just haven't been so privy to because of the experience of their time they've been dealing with.
Absolutely. So it's a culture shock. Absolutely. It's a culture shock. And I think people underestimate that shock. So as I always tell people, the creation of Fort House is a collection of my personal experiences. I'm formerly incarcerated. I was incarcerated as a teenager, and I served over 10 years in an adult state facility here in New Jersey. But even prior to that, I was incarcerated as a juvenile, and my offense was always running away from home, right? So I started running away from home to escape sexual abuse. And every time I would run away, after a few times, they put me on probation. So I would run away and they would put me in a juvenile detention center as a violator of probation. So I wasn't seen as someone who was seeking help or refuge. I was seen as someone who was a delinquent, and I was treated as such. So I spent years going in and out of youth detention centers. Then I would get released. I would go to group homes, temporary foster cares, go back home, and the cycle would just constantly repeat. And I went to the youth detention center 6 times in a matter of 3 years. And when you look at those numbers, and I always bring up statistics to couple with personal stories, because everything can't be qualitative or quantitatively met. Like that information needs to be coupled with a story. But statistically, those who enter juvenile detention centers as juveniles, they have a higher risk of entering the adult facilities. And at 18, I was that statistic, right? So I served over 10 years, as I mentioned. And when I was released to a place that I had never been. I was released to a place that I didn't know anybody. I didn't know. I had $80 to my name. It got to the point where they had nowhere to place me. So what I had to do was I had to basically get re-incarcerated for 90 days until they figured out where to put me. So they sent me to a halfway back when technically I was supposed to be quote unquote free. And I did what I had to do. I lived off their little resources. They let me work, but I didn't have to pay rent. I took advantage of that all day. I worked 7 days a week, saved my little coins. First thing I did when I got out was open up a bank account. I was like, I've never had credit. Let's start from there. So, I opened up a secure credit card, and I just took it step by step. But one of the things that was glaring that I could never forget was the fact that I didn't have a support system. I didn't have a safety net. I didn't have that plan B. There wasn't a person standing in place of plan B. I was plan A through Z. It stopped at me, and I had to make it. And I didn't want to be that statistic. As I mentioned before, I didn't, I'm young, I'm Black, I'm a female, I'm formerly incarcerated. I didn't want to be that statistic that said those within that first 3 to 6 months tend to recidivate if they don't have that support. I didn't want to be that. So, I went to college as a first generation college graduate. And I was like, I can't forget those who I left behind. Because the same way I struggle to survive is the same way that many people behind me are going to struggle too. The same way where we're put in a position to figure out who we are as a person and how we fit into this world, I needed to alleviate that in any way that I could. And that's where I came up with Fort House. And while our overall mission is to focus on higher education, post-secondary, which looks different for anybody, everyone. So it's not just college. It could be a certification program. It could be a trade school, something that's going to give you that extra little leg up when it comes to competing in the job market, because we don't want you ready for jobs. We want you ready for careers, right? We want to get that extra little leg up. But we knew that there was something, the biggest social determinant, biggest hurdle coming out was housing. And that's why we are known for transitional housing, but our focus is definitely on making sure we minimize the intergenerational lack of obtaining higher education degrees.
Wow, very powerful stuff. And I mean, this is, great information, because a lot of times our community folks don't understand it. And I'm always in these meetings, I'm always yelling and fighting with other CBOs and other nonprofits about, being prepared, and I think a lot of times in our community, especially when we deal, with community organizations and the way funding is and how we go after stuff, there's so much red tape and so many things that stops us, and there's loopholes and hurdles that we have to crawl to get that. But one of the things that I always press in organizations is to be ready, right? Because it's nothing worse than getting out, doing this time, and we're building these folks up in jail, getting them ready to come back to the community, and we're connecting them with resources. And when they go there, and they don't have a job opportunity, and they don't have the housing voucher, and they don't, it is a nightmare for someone who is trying to stay free and stay a part of the community. And sometimes, like you said, in that 90 days or that 30 to 60, 90 days, that window, a lot of times when people reoffend because they just don't have the support services, and I think it's something that we also not only have to lean on the community organizations, but as well as family members, getting our family folks involved and understanding that when their loved ones come home, some of the support that they're going to need and how to deal with them and handle them, because sometimes they just don't. And I had somebody on the show come on and was just like, yeah, I'm going to the store, I didn't know this, basic stuff, self-checkout or things of that nature. And my family laughing and saying, hey, man, you don't know how to use this. And I mean, that could be the deterrent right there to just, push somebody to a whole nother level, and just really educating our community and folks, because that experience when they come home could be the experience that's needed to keep them free. But when you talk about the housing, I think this is one of the biggest challenges that I think community folks miss. It is so hard because of people records are just the way, dealing with probation and parole and different things of that nature. Getting those folks in the housing is a challenge sometimes. And, breaking down those barriers is a lot of what we have to really, as a community and as organizations, come together to fight for and figure out how do we change that narrative. Because, we've had folks that come on from our time done, just different folks who have those records and can't get an apartment. We've had folks come on here who have relatives who need to be adopted, and they can't even adopt them because they have a previous record, right? And then just getting into housing with their family and folks. Sometimes the nature of their crime or whatever they serving, and just high impact for the area. In California, they got different laws that restrict folks from living in certain communities, and that could be the community they grew up in. How do we come together as community to really organize and highlight those issues and concerns to get it to our elected officials to really make that change, to have impact, and for that experience for folks trying to get back and doing the right thing in the community?
Oh, there was so much to unpack in what you were saying. I can't wait to dig in. First thing, I want to tackle your last question. Now, I want to compare, how do we kind of mitigate this huge problem we call mass incarceration and the ripple effect that it causes in our communities, right? The first thing is, I like to do a lot of comparisons. And I want to compare this. This is a war, right? And anytime we've fought any kind of war, we don't come at it from one branch, right? You got the Air Force, you got the Marines, you got the Army, you got everybody. You coming from sea, from land, from air, you coming from all different directions, right? And that's the same way we have to tackle this issue. We need people on the front end. How do we stop our folks in certain institutional designs and setups from even entering the system? While they're in there, how do we heal them to make sure that they don't come back? And when they get out, how do we make sure that they have those services? And then let's not forget The family factor, they're traumatized too. That's why they're directly impacted. We have to make sure that we cater to their needs as well and their traumas. So we have to treat this just like any other war. We need to bring all our branches together, and we need to collectively work together to mitigate this problem. It's not going to be easy, but what there's nothing that you've acquired on this planet, whether personally, as a group, whatever, something that makes a huge impact, that it was easy. It's not easy, but that's what makes the reward so much greater. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, you touched on hearing those personal stories about us not understanding things. And it's two things. One, I'm going to tell you a story, and then I want to debunk something that I know is seen, like has this negative connotation. First thing, I'm going to tell you this story. I didn't know what an app was. Right? So someone was like, oh, you're going to go home, you're going to get all these apps? And I was like, no, I'm not carrying all that. So they were like, well, what do you think an app is? Like, what do you mean you're going to carry it? So I had not known that CDs had transitioned to little USBs. I thought that they were still CDs and the USBs were apps. So I'm sitting here like, who would keep plugging it? Like, why would I'm like, how do men carry them? And why would I waste my pocketbook space on an app? Right? And then they were trying to explain it to me, and I'm like, I couldn't wrap my head around, I could purchase something, but it's not mine. Wait, what? Like, I can use it, but I can't touch it. I could not wrap my head around these things. Like, I thought Uber was the name of somebody's boyfriend. I didn't know it was a taxi. I thought it was like an African name I had never heard of. It was just so many different things that people would sit there. I didn't go to urgent care, and I'm going to be very transparent. I had diarrhea. And after like a week, my mother's like, why didn't you go to urgent care? And I was like, I didn't think about it. And she was like, why? And I said, because I come from a place where if you drop a slip, it's going to take a couple of days for them to look at the slip. Then by the time you get there, your symptoms are gone. Or when you get there, you're getting Motrin. Why would I drop a slip and go to urgent care, whatever I got to do, when I can go to Walgreens and go get a Motrin, right? So I've been accustomed to not even taking care of myself. And this leads me to a conversation that I just had yesterday with someone about the negative connotation when it comes to people. You in these institutions, you hear you're institutionalized, right? And you sit there and not take care of yourself because there's this negative connotation. It's saying that you cannot be anything other than yourself outside of what confinement tells you, right? And you're like, oh, you throw it around so much. Oh, this person institutionalized, But if you were out here in society, you would be labeled as a person that's traumatized. And then on top of it, they would break their back to make sure that you have resources so that you can work through your trauma. There's so many free services. So how is it that we can be in these spaces and say you don't deserve to have help because you're labeling it as institutionalized as opposed to trauma? The same way you bump into something and you bump into a wall, a chair, a bed. We've all bumped into something. You get an abrasion, a bruise, a scratch. You've left a mark. Your skin has been traumatized by whatever you bumped into. And you take care of it by Band-Aid, ointment, whatever. You might even kiss your boo-boo. I don't know. But you're going to do something to make sure that you give attention to what has happened to you, to the trauma that has happened to your body. And that's the same way, even though we can't see those scars, we need to make sure that we put a Band-Aid, a kiss, or whatever, or ointment, whatever we need to do inside. We need to make sure we heal ourselves. We should not be forgetting to go to urgent care. We should not be forgetting and putting on a low priority list our health when we are released from these facilities that don't care about it. So I just want to make sure that I lift that up in everything we do. We can move forward as advocates. It's a such thing as advocacy fatigue. We can move forward as, just anything in this war that I'm talking about. But there is still bruises and scars and abrasions inside us that we need to take care of, and we need to normalize trauma. We need to normalize taking care of that trauma, not putting a negative label or connotation like, oh, this person is institutionalized, and saying, like, making it a bad thing just because you're like, no, I'm mentally strong, I can work through this. No, we need help. Maybe you need somebody to kiss the little boo-boo, but you, whether it be yourself or somebody else, but you got some boo-boos inside we need to take care of.
Man, very, very important stuff. You hitting topics that we always are fighting, advocating for here on this platform in our organization is mental health. And you're bringing me into this, and I always ask these, like, how do we get our folks, because in the Black community, it's taboo. It's a stigma behind mental health. And I'm also disappointed sometimes because I think sometimes inside of the walls, it's a little bit more mental health services that our folks are getting to deal with some of the trauma and some of the work. But when you get back into the community, it's not there, right? And I'm always like fighting with this because I know some of the training and some of the programming that goes on inside the walls. But we don't have that same type of services out in the community, especially when we're dealing with our young Black males or young females. These programs that actually teach and work with some of these mental health needs that we have. But in the Black community, as a general Black and brown community, how do we normalize and how do we get folks to seek this treatment, to get this mental health services, or, to be comfortable to go in and talk about our issues? Because, in our community is like, hey, this is a family issue. We don't need to talk about this. This is between us. And we're holding in this trauma and pain. And we know our community has been impacted for years, hundreds of years of different traumas that impact us. And just going through the incarceration piece of it is just a whole nother piece of trauma that folks deal with. How do we influence our folks? How do we get our community moving towards mental health? And how do we get our country to invest in mental health as much as we do for COVID? That's what I've been asking forever.
Okay, so on a personal level, first thing is we're going to start with you, right? You have platforms like this and we're talking about it and we're normalizing it. We're putting a face to people who say, this is important or this is what I experience. I go to therapy. Yes, I do. There's some things I got to work through and I'm not trying to project those on other people. So one, you already starting that just by getting the conversation started is like one of the most important things. It should not be a taboo topic. Two is well, I can tell you something that I personally am doing in this topic, surrounding this topic. I told you I do so much, but I created a pre-release manual. It will be released soon. So like in a good, I say 2 months, I will have a book release. And this pre-release manual is a collective memoir, right? This isn't a book that says, oh, this is go to welfare, or this is the number to a mental health, or this is an outdated number to a shelter, right? This has personal stories. It's a collective memoir. This is people who said, this is what I've been through. And this is the steps that I took. Either it helped me or it didn't. Either way, it's going to make you feel like I'm sitting here on a bunk next to you and we having a conversation because I want you to succeed. These are people who stopped their life, took a second to literally write down their personal experience and reach back out. So we do have a heavy focus on our health section, right? The mental health, because part of pre-release is making sure that you mentally prepare for that. That's that strategic survival that I was talking about. I had a conversation with somebody recently and she was like, well, I was thinking that we should put forth something about daring to dream. And I was like, no. I said, I'm gonna be honest with you. When I was incarcerated, I didn't dare to dream. Why? Because to me, dreaming was associated with being a child and I had real life issues, adult issues that I needed to tackle. I said, so when I'm thinking about a pre-release manual, I think that we should set it up as a strategic survival. And then maybe in a post-release, somewhere we can talk about daring a dream. But for right now, we need to focus on this reality. And the reality is we need to get people mentally prepared to strategically survive. And that's just it, hands down. Another thing, personally, what I'm doing with Fort House is we partnered with Planned Parenthood. So Planned Parenthood is actually offering for a whole year, these monthly workshops, and just to incentivize, because I want my community to come here. Sometimes you don't know what you need, right? We got to like incentivize you, like come on to the table. So we're, giving them little gift cards and stuff. But I mentioned it before, health being low on a totem pole of priorities, right? Your top priority is going to be housing. It's going to be job. It's going to be things like that. Like those are the social determinants that you're going to tackle first. It's not going to be, let me make sure my environment is safe, or let me make sure I hit up every doctor. But the thing that I like about this partnership, they're not just giving these workshops talking about their services. They're actually giving referrals to other healthcare professionals in our community. That includes mental health. That includes, breast health, whatever it is. They make sure that they will give referrals, not just about sexual health and talking about the different components when it comes to that. They'll also give referrals to like Medicaid if that's something you need. So I think that's three things. One, starting that conversation. Two, if you haven't noticed, my part of the war is tackling them when they come out to reduce recidivism. So it's like you've been through that process, how we get you back out here strong and economically self-sufficient. So making sure when they come out them doors that you normalize it in that way. Hey, we know you just got home. Take this because this is what they will give you. And then three, making sure that we reach back out to the people that's in there. Start thinking about that and planning for that when you get out. Make sure that is a part of your exit plan.
Wow, great information. Well, we happy for you to be boots on the ground doing the work, because that's what it's really all about. I am sick of going on these calls, hearing people talking about we have to meet our people where they at. And you never see these people in the community. They always talk about coming to my office. I say, you want to get to my people, you got to go in the community. You got to go into projects. You got to go into the prisons. You got to go where the people is at. You can't just sit back and collect the checks and say we're going to meet people where they at. Very, very good stuff. But I want to get that memoir when you put it out. Please come back and we'll help promote it. I want to get one because I think you're hitting on something that I've been saying that we need to do, because there has been so many generational gaps of different things and loss of information. And one of the things that I would like to see is, more parenting books from folks who look like us, how to be parents, right? Fathers, how to be fathers. Nobody, when I had my daughter at 17 years old, nobody told me how to be a father, right? It was just, you did what you had to do. And I've been talking to a group of brothers around here, and that's what we've been talking about. Like, how do we can't recreate the wheel, but let's talk about some of the obstacles and some of the things that we had to deal with throughout that journey to help some of our younger fathers, making. I think this is the same thing when you talk about getting back into the community and doing that work. It's very important to document it and make sure that is happening. But the investment, I really want you to talk about why it's important. And I always tell community, I believe in second chances, and, your story is very beautiful. And this is why I love when people like you come on this platform to tell your testimony and to show where you at and how you develop, because there's people in our community that think once people offend or, they're just ruined forever. But I always like to show those stories of people been through something, but they walked out on the other side on top. And this is why they great. This is why they do the work. And this is why they have the type of response and the connection with the community that some others just don't get, right? And it's very important. So, that investment and what do you think about, that level of engagement with the folks and where we, when we talk about where we need to go?
Yes. So investment. So, one thing I do want to highlight is I do appreciate and I want to see more investment for the community in ourselves and in us, but I also want to see us investing more in ourselves, right? So I'm gonna ask you to unmute your mic real quick. We're gonna do like a quick little, yeah, I know I caught you off guard. Listen, I'm gonna need you to unmute real quick. So I'm gonna ask you questions and then you're gonna answer them, right?
You sure you want to ask me a question? This is John Henry on both sides of the conversation. I might fly off the handle.
So that's why you want to unmute your mic, because they need to hear both of us at the same time, right? So let me ask you this. I wish I had one, but I don't have no money right now, and I don't even want to get up because since I'm on Zoom, my pants is not matching my top right now. We ain't gonna do that, right? All right, but if I had $100 bill, how much is it worth?
I would say it's probably worth about $84.
Be serious.
I'm being serious.
And if you had $100, it's worth.
The American dollar is not worth $100.
Oh my God, we're not going into that. We're not going into that. How much is it technically worth?
It's technically worth $84.
Put your mic back off.
I told you, we got to keep it real. I got to keep it real. It's not $100. If I take $100 out, it is not $100. The American dollar.
They will be price gouging like crazy around
the
here.
cost of oil is killing the dollar. Inflation is killing the dollar. My dollar is worth nothing.
So we're going to say it's $100, okay?
Okay, we're going to hypothetically think.
We're going to hypothetically
it's $100.
$100 is worth $100. Hypothetically, we're going to remove all inflation and everything else. And price gouging and all of that. We're going to remove all that. But if I fold it in half, how much is it worth?
It's still worth $100.
Okay, so what if I crumble it? How much is it worth?
Still worth $100.
If I throw it in this bottle of water, how much is it worth?
It depends on how much the water deteriorates the paper, but it's still worth $100.
With no acid and nothing in it. Oh, okay, if I step on it, how much is it worth?
It's still worth $100.
Okay. And that's how I want us all, like you talking about how the community values us, I want us all to make sure that we value ourselves in that manner. It doesn't matter what the community, what society, what statistics, whatever, what barriers told you that if they stomp on you, if they douse you, if they crumble you, if they fold you, that you are that value that less than you know you are. Right? You are still at your value. I don't care what's done to you. So although I want to make sure that we do focus on what how the community invests in us, but I also want to make sure that we keep that in mind and invest in ourselves. Our value does not decrease because of what somebody says or what somebody does or what somebody, like it just doesn't. What somebody says, it just doesn't. Our value is our value, no matter who bends us, stomps, no matter what situation, step on us, douse us. That is our value. You are your value. And I'm not saying it's 100. It could be 100 billion, 100 trillion. The point is your value does not decrease the same way that doesn't if I bend this whatever $184 bill.
So Tia, I have to ask you a question because I have a real concern with our community. Mm-hmm. I feel like that our community has dealt so much that right now we are in neutral. We're not moving. The sense of urgency is not there. A lot of people are giving up because they feel like we fought, and we not seeing no change. We are in a time right now that I feel like our community is defeated. People don't want to speak up. People don't want to work with each other. People just, we are dealing with some of the most depressed and community folks and families right now. I've never seen so less of fight in our people. And, we talk about mental health. We talk about what's going on in this country. We talk about COVID, the stuff people are going through, and I know everybody always say Black folks are so resilient, but the current time I just feel like, have we gave up? Have our people given up? Like, cause I don't see that spark. I just, every now and then I go in the room and I see some people get passionate. I see some people, but we're not moving.
I like that you said that word passionate because excuse me, once upon a time, I used to be called like angry, right? They'd be like, oh, you're so angry. And now it's like, she's so passionate. When I was being released, an officer actually told me the cliche, you're going to be back. And I'm like, why would you say that? She was like, because you fight too much and you got a mouth. But let me tell you something. I still fight. I uppercut the system. I put in a little headlock, a couple institutions. Like, I don't ever want people. I feel like when you're talking about being stagnant, it's certain things that people say in society or certain norms that, people say, and you're just like, you take those in. But you're not supposed to take what people say, quote unquote, is the worst part of you and then live that out. You make that the best part of you. Because if I wasn't a fighter, I wouldn't be here today. I had just told you my story in the beginning. That cycle I went through. Nobody said, why are you running away? It's just like, oh, the little black girl being bad, right? No one asked what she's running away from. I didn't get that help. So I had to be it had to be some type of fight in me to get me where I am. It had to be some type of fight in me to work through those traumas prior to incarceration, during incarceration, and even after incarceration. It had to be a fight. And then there has to be a fight in me to continue doing what I do. So if I would have listened to her and said, oh my God, that's not proper, I can't be a fighter, that's going to get me locked up, I wouldn't be doing what I do today. I also think when it comes to fighting, right, and that passion, I think sometimes you have to look at it from a different angle. So the reason I feel empowered, right? And that's where my passion comes from. I feel like I know something that I'm not supposed to know. And that's where my passion comes from. And the way I went about it is, remember, we talk about this mental health, we talk about things like that. And then I see people coming from, correctional institutions. And I'm not saying around the country, I'm just saying what I've observed. And then we go and navigate these academic communities, and I see a large number of them going into social work majors and things like that, or criminal justice reform majors. And that's the way they feel. So I decided to think outside the box. My degree is in political science. And people come up to me and they're like, why did you take political science? You want to be a politician? I'm like, I hate politics. So they ask me, well, why would you take political science? And it's so simple. The same way the devil needs to know that Bible inside and out to manipulate and move the way he needs to move, I need to know how systems work. I need to know how policies work. I need to know how institutions work that I don't like. So I'm going to learn what you know. And then I'm going to take it from there. So now I'm empowered. I've learned how to think how you think. So now I learn how to maneuver the way I need to overpower, manipulate what I feel like I need to. Those institutions and those programs and those organizations, things that I don't like, I feel empowered. And I think sometimes, and I'm not saying everyone should do it like me, but sometimes tackling an issue that we've been tackling, sometimes we become stagnant because it's the same way. And I'm going to just make this real simple. If I keep parting my hair and wrapping it the same way, it's going to keep on staying with that wrap. Sometimes I got to switch it up and wrap it the other way, And that's the same thing sometimes. And now I just feel empowered because I know what you know. There's knowledge. You cannot take that from me. What y'all taught me, I now can infiltrate. And I can't wait till I get this news so I can shout it out to the world so people can really see the Trojan horse I am.
Wow, phenomenal. Make sure you come back here on both sides of the conversation so we can help get that information out. But you bring up a good point that I ask all of my folks, in the Black community, in the brown community, we have the largest sought after degrees in social workers, psychiatric, and clinicians. But when you come into our community, we can't find no mental health workers. I don't know what's going on. I'm still trying to find out, why is it the highest sought after degree in our community? You talk about the amount of people that are going for social work, psychiatry, and different things of that nature. But when you look at the representation in our community, it's not a lot. And it's very terrible. I think we have to fix that. We have to find out what it is. And going back to what I said, the investment in mental health, like we do for COVID, some of the restrictions that were in place for our nurses to get to school, to put more nurses on the field. I think we need to do that when we talk about investing in mental health in our community. But this was very, 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 refreshing. You got me over here. I'm ready to go to war tonight. I'm ready to pull out my stuff. I'm ready to go change some people. But this is what it's really all about, having these, conversations. But before I let you go, because I know it's late, you're on the East Coast in Jersey. I want to let you get back to your family and stuff. You talked about a little bit in your story. You said you always was running away. And I work with a lot of these young folks here in San Francisco in our juvenile system. And a lot of these kids, they run away from home, they run away from group homes. And I'm always trying to figure out, like, how do we support them? Because, all these group homes, they're advocating, send the kids in my group home. But we have the highest run rate from these group homes. And I be in there, they get mad at me because I say, why do we pay all this money for these kids to go to group homes? And 90% of these kids run within the first 72 hours of being there. Something's not right, but they talk so great about them. And, I probably get a lot of black backlash, and these people will come emailing me, talk about, what are you talking about? I got the best group home in the West Coast. But I talk to the young folks, and I know what's going on. A lot of them, they're just not, these group homes don't really support what the young folks need. But, you talked about it. So I just wanted to know, because I'm always trying to get into the mind of these young, especially it's a high rate for our young females out here. They run quick. But what is that? And how do we help support those? Because I'm always trying to find new ways when I'm working with these young folks to get them to commit. And, for you, it's empowerment, but trying to tap into their greatness. And I only tell them the only way you can tap into it, you got to take the chains off your brains, be open to learn, and, you'll get there. And I'm always trying to teach them that and let them know that eagles fly with eagles and Tweety birds fly with Tweety birds. So, I'm always trying to get some game from an eagle. So I see you flying high, eagle. Give me some game so I can run it back to my young folks.
Absolutely. So I can tell you personally, for me, going through what I had gone through, as a child, I didn't fall into, addiction or, wasn't promiscuous. My addiction was running away. It had actually become a habit. It was so second nature for me that you could, if it was too cold in there, I was going to run, right? If you rolled your eyes at me, I was going to run. That was my addiction. The only thing that stopped me was when I got locked up as an adult and I could not run. But then that made me a fighter. What happens when you got a squirrel in the corner? They gonna start fighting, right? They done tried to run from you. They tried to run up the tree, through the gate, through the woods, whatever. But when you got them back in the corner, they're gonna become a fighter. And that's when I became this fighter, right? Going to solitary confinement. I thought I was gonna run that way. Solitary, you can't go nowhere either. So it was an addiction for me. And I think sometimes, it might get to a point where you don't even know why you're running anymore, right? You're just like, this is second nature. And this is something. So we have to take it back and say, okay, we can delve through the reason you ran away, but we also need to focus on sometimes you're running when nothing directly happened at that moment, right? That's a reality. And I know a lot of people are not going to admit that. I probably wouldn't have admitted that. I'd have been like, no, I'm telling you because this is what happened. No. Sometimes it becomes a habit where you're just like, this is what I know. This is my addiction. So when I talk to young kids, I tell them, like, y'all not used to being listened to. Y'all used to being talked at. So tell me what you want. What do you need me to know? What do you need me to hear? And we can take it from there. And then a lot of them that I've encountered, they don't know. So we need to start from there. What is it that you want? And then I know sometimes I give them an example. When I'm done with this hand sanitizer with the bottle, actually, go ahead and unmute yourself again. Come on. Let's do it. Let's do it again. Okay. So if I got this scrap paper right here and I done use both sides, I can't use it no more. It's done. What I'm going to do with it?
I guess you just go throw it away. Are you gonna run? Are you gonna run? Are you gonna run?
I'm throwing it away. So when I'm done with this, you see, I done recycled. I put some more here. I done recycled it enough. I'm done with it. What I'm gonna do with it?
Throw it away.
Mm-hmm. I done used.
We in California, so we might recycle.
We're gonna recycle it, but it's gonna be thrown away. And let me tell you, so you can recycle all you want. I have an environmental background, and 60% of their garbage, recycled garbage, still get burned. But anyway, so after I done used this, I probably refilled it, whatever I got to do. I'm going to
reuse it or throw it away.
I'm throw it away after I reused it and did all of that. This ink run out of ink, this pen run out of ink, I'm throw it away. So when I talk to young people, right, I tell them, you already have the tools. You take the tag off your clothes, you throw it away. You eat fast food, you take the wrapper, you throw it away, right? You've consumed what you needed and you threw the rest away. So what you tell them is you have the tools. I think that's sometimes when we talking to young people, we have to break it down to its lowest common denominator. You have to make it relatable. You don't get too specific, like, oh, if you have an addiction or because everybody don't have an addiction. You never want to lose your audience. But that's something everybody can relate to. You throw something away. So you take what you need from any situation and throw the rest away. You discard the rest of it. It could be a bad situation, but you have to force yourself to see good, because how does that benefit you? You take what you need and you discard the rest. The same way you do, it's not something you're incapable of. You do it every day. You throw something away every single day. So apply that emotionally, mentally, on a larger scale, something that's going to help you.
Wow, very powerful. I think, that is definitely that addiction of running away is happening too much in our community. And I think we do need to, hone in on it, because we got fathers running away from their responsibility. We got people running from relationships, running from everything. We just turned into the slave on the run syndrome, as I say. Everybody just running. But definitely, I really appreciate you dropping those gems and giving it to me. A lot of young folk that I'm working, we always trying to get them to set themselves. And, they're running back to things that sometimes just not in their best interest. And we always let them know, to change, you got to change people, places, and things, and things you do. And, it is a process. But definitely, we want to thank you for coming on tonight. We know you on the East Coast. I don't want to hold you up too much later, but very powerful story. And some of the folks in the community, definitely we would like to see you come back. You are an inspiration. You got my blood flowing this tonight, to get pumped up, because this work, I'm telling you every day, it's 99,000 reasons why I shouldn't get up and advocate for my people, right? But it's the work that you all do, the community folks that really do this work and have that impact. And when we see those changes, and then sometimes they come in little drops. I had a young person that I was working with, and he got out and actually changed his life. He was one of the kids you wouldn't even think would change his life. And he was at the hospital having a baby, and he ran into me just all excited and just said, man, thank you. And, we just want to encourage the folks in the community to continue to do this work, be a blessing to folks, and speak up to somebody, because your testimony is the true healing process that we need in the community, because you never know who's going to take a little bit of what you said and apply it to their life and do something amazing. And I see it all the time. It always don't happen as fast as we want it, but we definitely got to, pour into our young folks, pour into our community. The Fort organization, I'm be doing a little bit more research and how we could connect and help support what you all are doing. I think this is great work. We got some things going on with our time done folks and things of that nature, because again, this issue impacts everybody across this country, whether you're on the East Coast, West Coast, South. And some of our folks in the South are being impacted more than some of the other spots in this country. But it takes a collective. It takes a number of folks to figure out the system, the games, and figuring out how do we make that change and change that narrative. And that's what we'll continue to do. And we know Ford is doing it. And again, anything we could do to support, we will. When you write this manual or this book, please come back so we can promote it, get our community to buy it and support you as well. But before I let you go, if there's any last words you would like to say to community, or you want to get out or let folks know to connect with you, or shout out any of your sponsors or folks, go ahead. This is the time to do it.
Honestly, I would love to give a huge shout out to my team, because I do a lot of public appearances, and it's like, oh, T, you founded this and you did this and this is great. But honestly, I have a really, really, really dope team. Like, I just have a dope team. If I was to drop tomorrow for a month, it just disappear, they would still hold it down. Like, they are a really dope team. And I do believe in giving people their flowers while they're here. And I definitely, want to shout out my team in all capacities. My partner, he's so amazing. He wrote me this sweet little thing describing me early. He's just so amazing. You got to find somebody amazing, right? That make you smile for no reason. I highly encourage that, even if it's yourself. Just find something. But no, definitely, I'll keep you guys posted on the book release. I'm really excited about it. And although the contact information is for local resources in New Jersey, the knowledge, the drop, the collective power that's in this pre-release manual crosses all state lines. So, I will be, making sure I let you guys know about that.
Please do, and you're welcome back. You're part of the Both Sides of the Conversation family. Anything that we could do to support you. Again, we have people watching all over the place. I got some folks in New Jersey. Definitely, if you want to, any digital flyers or any outreach events, anything you're doing, just send it to us. We'll blast it on our social media. You'd be surprised how many people that we have watching. But community, what a phenomenal hidden gem tonight, y'all. Come on, this was a great hidden gem tonight. And again, she's right. Find you somebody that's phenomenal. Find somebody that's amazing. When you step in the building, they should be smiling. They should be proud. That's what it's all about as we continue to connect our community, uplift our community. This healing process begins with communication and resources and information going out to our people. Thank you again, Ms. Tia, for coming on tonight. We are proud of you. We are here to support you. Continue to do the amazing work that you're doing to impact our community, our people. As we say, no matter where they are, we're stumping with them, we're marching with them. Thank you again for coming on tonight. Community, with that being said, we're going to have our next live show this Thursday. If you want to learn some financial information, you want to get your game right. We're talking about this year, 2022, all new in 2022. We are focused on health and wealth. And what a way to kick off this Thursday educational presentation. We're going to learn some financial tricks, some financial goals that we could do as we try in our community to build generational wealth, leave this wealth to our young folks and to our future community. We got to do it, and it's going to start with these conversations and these educational presentations all throughout this year. We are focused on building that economical buying power in our community because we need ownership and we need businesses to thrive in sustainability as we continue to move forward as community and as folks. So this Sunday conversation, we're looking for this Thursday, Educational Thursday, we're looking forward to that. And then this Sunday, we'll be having another Ask Your Black Doctor as we kick off our Black History Month. It should be great. We have some amazing things that's going to be coming up, and we just proud of the work that we are doing. We're going to have our Black Panther Party come on mid-month and do their thing as well as we continue to collaborate and work with all of our community organizations that are doing things to impact our people positively. If you know somebody like Miss Tia that is grinding, putting in the work in the trenches, we want to get them their roses while they living. Too many times we have to go to funerals and hear this eulogy about all the amazing things that folks do. We want to get their roses while they're here. And also for all of our community businesses, we want to make sure that our folks go out and support your business. So please nominate someone, sign them up on our website so we can get them on, so we can get that phenomenal information out to our community and connect those folks. This is all is about networking. Don't matter if you're on the East Coast, it don't matter if you're on the West Coast. Together, if we network and share ideas and learn what everyone is doing together, we could build another generation of young, powerful individuals that can move our communities forward. So we are excited about that. We got a lot of amazing things coming here at both sides of the conversation that we're going to be doing. First up, we got our bowling event coming. Come out and roll with your boy. We're going to be out there doing it up big. We have our 360 machine out there. We have our photographers out there. We got the DJ. We got the food. It's going to be happening. We hope to see y'all out there. Come out and support the work that we're doing to impact the community. And again, like Ms. Tia said, I want to thank my both sides of the conversation team because none of this happens without them. Y'all know y'all see me everywhere. Y'all see me in the community, but none of this work happens without my amazing team. You guys don't see them every day, but they in the back grinding, doing stuff, making this thing happen, making it move. I'm just out there rolling around with the people, making it happen. But the team, so shout out to our both sides of the conversation team for all the work they do behind the scenes to push this organization and this platform forward. More things to come. We're excited about the partnerships and the things that are cooking in the kitchen because we over here whipping it up. We cooking. We got some amazing things that's going to impact our community. So with that being said, thank you all for tuning in. Tia, thank you for giving up your East Coast time to come on both sides of the conversation and let them know that we be everywhere because they think we just in California.
I'm debunking your East Coast card because you keep saying I'm from New Jersey. I told you we say Jersey over here. We don't say New Jersey.
Jersey! And everybody in Jersey, they always talk about their coins, y'all. Y'all better pick that Jersey talk right there. They get their coins in Jersey.
Yeah, we get the coins.
Hey, well, thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you all this Thursday for our next Hidden Gem segment, and we'll be putting out more information out to community for some of the things that we're going to be doing Feed the Hood, and a number of other adventures that we have coming up. So thank you all for tuning in. Have a blessed evening. Be safe out there. And we'll see you all this Thursday for another segment of Educational Thursday. See y'all soon.
Nice.